Lawrence Leshon and others have pointed out the similarity between teachings of ancient Chinese philosophers and mystics and modern science. I think the theory process, that is, enables us to go further with that and pin some things down. Instead of just vague resemblances, we can show that science can actually contribute to spiritual teachings. Now, one way in which this shows is that the myths tell us very beautiful truths, but we don't quite know what they are. We don't know how to translate the myths into modern terms. For instance, the virgin birth is such a myth. Almost all the old religions talk about the virgin birth, but the church interpreted it as meaning purity. And you mustn't have any sin. You must be innocent. So it connected the virgin birth with sin, and that ties in with sex. It gets all screwed up because that's not what it's about at all. Virgin birth, as Bacon pointed out, is first cause. It's something that an earlier cause is like a father to something that happens. And if there's no father, it's first cause. So the virgin birth is a very beautiful symbol of the necessity. If you are going to evolve, it has to come from you. It isn't going to come from your doing what somebody else tells you to. You have to do it on your own initiative. Now, that is pointed out in the theory because the turn is the virgin birth in the theory. And it's critical in nature, but it's also critical in the evolution of things toward spirit. So there's an identity there between spiritual evolution and regular evolution. Life begins at the turn. Spiritual evolution begins when you begin to turn yourself upward instead of only toward matter. There's another resemblance in that science now finds right at the foundation of things what is essentially a spiritual element. And this is what surprises both scientists and non-scientists alike when I say this. But the photon, the unit of light, is without any physical properties. It has no mass, it has no charge, it isn't in time, and it isn't in space. If you want to show how that's true, the clocks stop at the speed of light. And there's no space for light because a photon comes from Sirius without any loss of energy. You could almost say it is in Sirius and it is here at the same time. That is the best prescription for a spiritual ingredient that I can imagine. Something outside of space and time with no properties, no physical properties. It also has the spiritual requirement in that it activates everything that happens in the world of particles and matter. It's the cause of things occurring. And that is really the spiritual role. There's no such thing as physical occurrence. Occurrence is an occurrence of meaning that has value to us as spiritual beings. It means nothing to matter that it should have meaning. I think we could find others, but the point is to draw from science what is needed for two things. First, to support the ancient teachings that previously had to be done solely on faith, and to get science closer to the truth. Because when science has to reject the quantum of action, this is the photon, as just a uncertainty, something that doesn't want because it interferes with the accuracy of the equations, it's looking in the wrong direction. We need science to sort of turn itself around and recognize the same spiritual quest that we have as persons. I think this would make science much more interesting. Science always was interesting to me as a small boy. It was only later when I found it discrediting spiritual things, discrediting ESP, discrediting all the interesting things that I got into, that I realized science had its shortcomings.